Technology Tuesdays. Hello, welcome to the Froggy Five. I'm your host, Jim Froehlich, founder and managing partner of Froggy Companies. And today I'm privileged to be joined by Jason Yarusi. I want to pick your brain and get a little bit more about your system operations. You know, you go to your website, things pop in at the right moment. If you go to your investor portal, you've got it all laid out really well. I want to find out, one, what kind of systems do you guys rely on? How do you view technology and your processes? And then two, how do you see the future evolving, and what's your take on that in terms of how you might restructure certain things in the future? What do you think is going to take off technology? It's a technology focused question.
You know, I think we're all fearful like robots are going to take over, but like they're going to be useful because ideally it can help replace some stuff. Because if the goal for us is not to work 100 hours a week, the goal is to live a fruitful life. Like we see like what people do in Europe, and they take time and they have more. Like some of us are just wired to like do it all the time, but at certain points like you want to have time to basically go and explore, go be with family. Like why are you doing all this, right? So you can use technology to your favor as long as it's not just that you have 100 technologies and don't know how you're using them. So we try to keep it, I would assume, simplified, right? So we run our projects through Asana. We do a lot, basically everything through Google Drive, all accessible through that. We have our investor portal that all the investors go into, all the communication through that runs through the investor portal, through podcasts. Of course, we're using Riverside here. So we try to keep it formatted for basically software that's meant for the purpose, right? So the projects with Asana that runs pretty rapidly through there. So everything can track through what's going through. The Drive keeps us all systemized. We have the same format for each project, whether it be on something that we're either on the acquisition side to the part of actually in the repositioning phase to the part of a closed file, right? Each file has the same format. And what it does is it was a work in progress, and then also what were other people doing and what did we like and what could we implement? And then you keep refining it. And then as you bring team members on, you see where they fit. And, and that goes from just our operations side. We manage probably maybe 500 units here out at the office. And so then we have the leasing side, and that's where some of the automation will come back. So it's to have some of these parts that can be proactive, so you can, everything from, setting in answering service for off-call hours to just having automatic responses for tenants, right? For even setting up, visual tours to the point to even having tours that are just, we can meet them or even lockbox tours, right? 3D tours. Those all set the stage, just make it easier because it doesn't put us where there's some human element that needs to happen for the next step to go, right? And so as we look at this process, the more it can be automated, you do have to, for me, it's part that you still have to have a human touch in there. You think anything you call today, it's like you call American Airlines or you call, United Healthcare, you call anything, like it's like anything. It's 19 stages to get to a human person. And it's the most annoying thing you can do. So we don't want to do that on our part when we're dealing with investors or we're dealing with tenants, right? We want to have some stage of that human element because it is still a person's living or a person's investment with us. However, there will be some stage where we can at least offer things to help enlighten investors, right? Before they get to a call with us, so they can be enlightened what they're doing, right? Or they can have more of the information available to them. So when they come, they can get the most out of a call with us, right? So they're not coming just blind, like I don't know what to ask. Hopefully with some of the resources we share or some of the other things now that they can go through the steps to have this information available so they can read up, so they can see that hopefully this would be beneficial for them. Or if it's not, that's great too, but something that maybe they can take away that in the future it could be potentially good for them to invest.
Great. A few good takeaways in there. One thing that caught my attention was, so you guys are self-managing 500, and then you have another 2,500 plus elsewhere. Sort of how do you divide that up? Do the other ones all have separate property management elements? Is there any kind of standardization between the two, or is there a third party that's overseeing disparate locations? How do you?
So we have in each market a select property manager. Even here in Middle Tennessee, for the larger assets, we have a property manager. In-house, we manage all of the mid-tier properties or all of the unique properties. So the storage units, commercial properties, the motel, and anything that's in that mix of like 40, 50 units, we manage here because we're better set up to manage that because with those levels, the property management groups, we do not find great property management groups. If I just have I have 48 units in Little Rock. A property management group would not serve that well because they need too much economies of scale or too many other units here, and it's not really set up for an on-site person as well as we would. So we found we were managing to manage more in those assets. But here in Middle Tennessee, we manage a 44 unit here in my town, but basically every other property is 100 units, 100 units, 100 units. We have 1,000 units here in town is managed by another property manager who's better set up to do that than we would. So we don't manage the larger properties. We manage all of the mid-tier properties or smaller properties.
Okay. And you only manage your property. You don't manage other people's.
Yeah, we do not do for others. And
you're so tightly coupled and vertically integrated that I think I know the answer to the next question, but all your units, are you JV'd on any of these? Are you with other partners? Do you have various partners?
I have
100% you?
No, so syndication, about 80% of them. And then on that part, the other 20% are a mix of just us or us and a partner.
Okay, good. I'm a little selfishly asking that too, because you mentioned Little Rock only because I'm looking at selfishly using my podcast to get information. I'm considering something in both Arkansas and Oklahoma, where guys come to me with some of these off market opportunities. Now I've mostly been doing ground up development for the last 5 years.
Nice.
But my first thing that comes to mind is because I've learned on Colorado, Michigan, I've learned that we only want to be in charge of development as a primary sponsor if I can drive to the place today and I can oversee it and I can talk to the subs. Remote management of that is not happening with me, but we're still doing deals where if somebody on the ground, you have a solid property manager or a solid sponsor in charge with the contractors, the subs and the project. Yeah. So that's a little bit why I asked that, because I'm thinking, okay, well, we might do some deals out there, and then I'll know you know a property manager in Arkansas. So that's the kind of connections I look for, right? People I trust. I basically have turned this. This is my year. I'd say 2024. There's a lot of negativity happening with inflation rates and slow down. A lot of commercial loans coming due. We felt it on a Colorado project, $29 million loan due. A lot of the bridge loans. People are in trouble in a lot of places. A lot of people aren't if they built enough contingency. But I'm saying 2024 is my year to just step back and focus on relationships and making sure that across the board, at every level, whoever we're dealing with, A, knows what the hell they're doing. B, which is hard. Competency is at a premium these days to find people who know what they're doing. And then B, equally important, have some level of integrity, people that are going to be honest with you and transparent. And then I just figure if we just keep that as a focus every day, we'll probably be golden in the long run, even if some other people come with, better deals, say, for instance. So
resourcefulness is key, right? And so the more you can know, because it's not always and especially for starting with real estate, I remember starting and you wanted to have all the answers, but you never have all the answers. But what you need to know is okay, I'm not going to have all the answers. I need to take a step, but who can I surround myself with to have the resources? So when I come up and potentially there's a question, I don't know what the question is going to be, but when that question shows up, who can I have, in my Rolodex, we'll call it, right? Who can I have around me that I can go, let me call Jim, Jim, got a question for you, on development, and you will give me that next step. And I'm oh, sweet. Now it shortcuts the learning curve of me going to try to find it on Google or just trying to guess. Right. And so it shortcuts that me and puts me in a better, safer environment to continue to push forward. Yeah.
Great point. And the Rolodex. I love to hear the word Rolodex. This second or third podcast in a row where someone's mentioned Rolodex. And I feel a little comfort, a little warm, fuzzy feeling hey, my Rolodex is still king, right? I can still, and it's not just my AI assistant and all this other stuff. People do, there's some segment of the population much younger than me that just jumps on every technology as soon as it comes out. And as a former systems engineer, I even get nervous with it because I'm it's hard to keep up with all this stuff. So my comfort zone, even as a technology guy, is to go back to the Rolodex and who can I talk to that knows something about this? Hey, thanks for having me on. If anybody else wants to find out more about what we're doing, please come to froggycompanies.com. Check out our 3 different business areas. It's great talking to you, and see you next time.